Welcome back. In this video today, I'm going to share 5 things that you should look for when you're shopping for a studio space. Whether you're looking to buy a place or lease a space or just rent a space for a photo shoot, there are a few things to keep in mind when looking for a space. Tip number 1, look for a place with natural light. In the type of photography that I do, I like having access to both natural light and the ability to shoot with studio light if I like. Depending on what it is that I'm shooting, sometimes I might need to shoot with a higher aperture or for more consistent lighting throughout the day, I might shoot with studio lighting. However, it's nice to have the option. So looking for a place with large windows and a lot of sun throughout the day is a great choice. Tip number 2 is to have access to Tel Ceilings. If you're like me and you use studio lighting from time to time, there are going to be times when you're going to want your lights nice and high or the ability to even boom light over top of your subject for a more dramatic look. Also, just having more ceiling height will just give a grander appearance and just more flexibility with your photo shoot. This space has 11-foot ceilings and I feel like sometimes I could even use higher. So I would even go 11 feet or higher, depending on what kind of studio photography you hope to do. Tip number 3 is look for unique characteristics in the building. I chose a building that is over 100 years old because I love the character of an old building. I just feel really inspired by them. There's always like unique charms throughout, and for example, I have access to a large brick wall, and I have old radiators and large windows and hardwood floors. That's just really made my work a little bit more fun and interesting to play around with when there's those unique details. So choosing an older building that has a little bit more character is a really nice option. That being said, I've seen some cool, more modern buildings that have concrete floors and access to large windows. So that's another look that I think is really neat too. Tip number 4 is make sure that you have enough length to shoot. In my original space that I had just half of this studio. A lot of the time, if I was shooting groups, I would be backed into a wall. I just wouldn't be able to shoot a subject full length. So having at least 15 feet or slightly more would be really helpful, especially if you're shooting with a group on a backdrop where they're not right against the backdrop. Will just give you a lot more flexibility and just be more comfortable, and it'll be a great way to avoid any distortion from shooting at a wider angle closer to your subject. And tip number 5 is make sure that it has neutral or white walls. I painted my studio white because I love the look of a white studio. It's just so cool and clean, and you can really transform it into anything, and it acts as a bounce. So the light literally bounces all over the place in here, which I personally love. Those are my 5 tips for searching for a studio space to shoot in. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more tips, tutorials, and inspiration. Thanks for watching, guys.